Want to show you guys a clip here from More Perfect Union about another strike update. New York City taxi drivers are on a hunger strike. This one is a remarkable and catastrophic story. It's just really sad what some of these people are going through, the amount of debt that they've incurred, and people turning to suicide, and really depressing, horrific stuff here. So they are on a hunger strike demanding a better financial situation. So we'll watch this clip from More Perfect Union. If you're not following them, please do go follow them. They do fantastic reporting on all sorts of labor issues.
$638,000.
Yeah, I have $800,000 loan now.
I owe $598,000.
I owe $680,000.
I owe $650,000. Yeah, $650,000. Yes.
When we said we were willing to do all that is needed, we meant it. We have been here for 32 days. We have shut down bridges. We are going on a hunger strike. There is nothing that we will leave unturned, no stone unturned, because what is being asked to be risked by these drivers is life and death.
Most of the Medallion owners, they are like the immigrant, 95% are new immigrant. Now we have lost everything. Now we are the American nightmare now. We have a dream before, we are the American dream. Now we are American nightmare now.
The city advertised this as a ticket to the middle class life. They sold it in a way that was very appealing to immigrants, to people who speak another language, for people who really wanted to buy. It was advertised as buying a piece of New York.
My father unfortunately passed away 6 years ago, and left me with the New York City taxi medallion, as well as a $530,000 loan. And he ended up just telling me how much he loved owning a piece of New York. He's just so proud of having this, and he knew that a piece of New York will be his interest to the middle class.
As the daughter of a taxi medallion driver and owner, I've seen intimately how the medallion crisis has changed over the past decade. I've seen how my father has struggled, working over 14-hour days just to make ends meet, to pay our bills, and to send me to school. In 2002, taxi medallions were worth about $200,000. But at the same time, New York City was facing over a $4 billion budget shortfall, in which the city was looking for a way to raise the revenue to close that gap. The way that they did this was to auction off over 1,000 medallions to many New Yorkers who thought that this was a ticket to a line of equity, a personal asset, and a ticket to middle-class life here in New York City. But many of the lenders who were involved in the medallion auctions were predatory, working off of working-class New Yorkers who couldn't understand a lot of the terms that were involved in many of these agreements. By the time 2014 rolled around, the values of taxi medallions skyrocketed to over $1 million. At the same time, around 2011 or 2012, e-hail services like Uber and Lyft were being introduced into New York City, but they were completely unregulated. So while the city was placing caps on the number of yellow taxi cabs that could operate in New York City, there was no cap on Uber and Lyft.
It's fair? I don't think so it's fair. They stole for us, miss, everything. My husband was 65. He didn't reach the retire. I feel sorry for him. He's gone. We have a wonderful life together. We just make a living, nice living. It's all. We don't want to get rich. And those people, they make us, they want everything they destroy for us. They want money.
My father purchased a medallion for about $200,000 with 12% interest. So now the medallion is about, I want to say he owed about $600,000 before he had filed for bankruptcy.
My brother Kenny Chow, unable to pay the mortgage, and he's struggling, he's devastated, and he lost all the retirement, he lost the investment, so he cannot make money, and he committed suicide near the Gracie Mansion, the Mayor De Blasio home, East River. This crisis, a city, they make the bubble, they create a bubble, they bust the bubble. So we need this, the city and the TSC commissioner, they have to fix the crisis. The city and TSC, they put on the bandage on the gun wounders. It's not the real solution. So we need the real solution.
Under the city's plan, banks could stand to gain even more profit, even though our city has already regulated over $855 million in profit from drivers already. It's not a debt relief plan. It's a bailout plan from the banks who don't care about real debt relief and dignity for drivers.
When bank calls you, you don't have the money to pay, and you live with your family, and you don't know, there's no money for your food and clothes for your kids, and the bank keep calling you. It's very, you cannot sleep during the night. That's how difficult it is. We have to do anything, hunger strike, anything to make sure the city understand our cause.
This is a workforce that has been so super exploited. There has been such a sense of despair among the drivers. And so to see drivers get past the suicides and the bankruptcies and all the heart attacks and the strokes and the utter level of despair and depression, to now being on the streets, refusing to leave until justice is won, having the courage to shut down a bridge in the middle of a morning rush hour, it's thrilling. It's workers taking back control over their life.
We don't want the mayor to pass this on to a new administration coming in 2022. What we need to do is have him in his last 83 days or 82 days in office, make sure he includes a city-backed guarantee to the federal funds that were secured for this type of debt relief. If Mayor Bill de Blasio and our city government align with the New York Taxi Workers Alliance plan and put it to work, that could mean a transformational change for my family and thousands more across our city.
Fantastic work there from More Perfect Union, as usual. Devastating stuff, but I like the way they closed it on the encouraging note of, despite all of this devastation, look at what they're doing. And there's a touch of hope and optimism there in seeing these movements continuing to take place. Shame on Bill de Blasio for going with the package that would have bailed out the lenders and left the drivers out to dry. Unsurprising, but shame on Bill de Blasio. And shame on these banks for, as they always do, treating the situation in a way that is incredibly callous to everyday working people. And this is a real, I remember when this became an issue, you guys, and Uber and Lyft kind of started to take over for these taxi drivers. And when you start to understand, that was not a long video, but it explained pretty well how the process actually works to get a medallion in New York. And what that means for them when you then just open up the ride sharing industry with no cap on it, right? And of course, Uber and Lyft, also incredibly predatory companies. They also try to treat their drivers like contractors so that they don't have to pay for any of the expenses on the car or gas. They don't have to meet labor laws or pay a minimum wage because they can call them private contractors. This was, borne out in the whole initiative, or proposition. I wish I could remember the number of it in California. And, so it all just kind of creates an environment where taxi drivers are completely left out to dry. And because of the nature of the scarcity of medallions in New York, they end up with that interest rate. I think he said 12% or something like that. They end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. You saw how many people there said, I owe, over $500,000, 600,000, just insane for a working class person. And, for the crime of working hard and trying to earn a middle class lifestyle. What a crime these people committed, right? So powerful stuff there from More Perfect Union, and I hope that this strike ends up working out, as I hope all of these strikes end up working out. It's, you know, it's devastating what capitalism does to us, and seeing this kind of pushback in a somewhat unanimous fashion across all industries, across the country, is quite encouraging. And we do have a couple